welcome to my panel, everyone. Thank you for coming. Yeah, this is the third, as I said in the chat, this is the third time I've run this panel, so should be pretty knowledgeable. But I don't know right now. Okay. As it said, I've been reviewing a book a week for over 500 times. So if you go to that QR, it'll be a list of all my reviews, and I'll just type in the test I like to do is if you remove the transformation completely, does it make a change to the story? And if it doesn't, does the transformation actually need to happen? Now, I'm sure everyone's aware of what happened. The werewolf tale, the alpha beta situation is not really actually biology, but my understanding is what happens is when you put a bunch of not of werewolves together of wolves together and don't let them spread out, someone becomes the leader, and which that kind of what happened with the werewolf pack because the human side is keeping them together with the wolf one. And what I'd like to call the standard plot number one, which I really don't like because it's very similar. You've got a newly bitten girl who gets put into the abusive pack, and so many werewolf stories are this is that same structure. That being said, Ghost Mountain shifted. The start of the story after Alfred taken over and had to try and rebuild the pack. So if you want something in that trope, that's the one I would recommend. The Death TF, this is one thing that I really don't like because once you've characters lost their their original mind, and you don't really have the same story. It's a new story because the important bit is to have the continuity from one bit to the next bit. The three parts of the TF that are important. You need what they were before, you need the transformation, and the aftermath. That being said, the the book that inspired me to actually start the writing sequence was they had the transformation over before the end of page one, before the end of page two, and then they put the what they were before as the story progressed. Biggest thing I do not go overboard with the description of the transformation, because after reading so many stories, what's going to happen is it gets very samey after a while. What you need is the aftermath where they're dealing with the transformation to make a good story. In the original book that started the review series for me, they had a thing where they were explaining different sense because the person had their brain transplanted into a different species, and is they make they make a mention that the scent is meant to remind them of home, and he goes, the transformed person goes, oh, yeah, smells like when Edma made bread for Ed, and they've got one of the species there, and she goes, I thought it was a happy memory because this new species can't actually eat bread, and so the bread smell does not trigger the same memory. First transformation, which I've classed as I've basically just put on the first suit. Generally speaking, if they're acting the same, it's not really transformation because they can just keep the same. You can just have them as the character at the start. You don't really need the transformation to begin with. Okay. Okay. I just Okay, let me just see if I can get that bottom bit. Yeah, as I said, that's the example I did before. Okay. Any Q&A? Yeah, sorry, it was very quick and kind of tired and trying to probably rush it a bit. Okay. Any questions? And yeah, like, okay. I'll expand on the detail. Remember, I've read a lot of stories, and so a lot of the stimulus, like a lot of the stimulus, the theme of the transformation itself is very similar no matter what's going on, and I've read a lot of them. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is the tricky bit. Having read so many, the question is how do I go about finding a new book to read? This is very tricky because I've found, as I said, let me just check the latest one. Yeah, my latest review was 511, and so generally what I'm relying on is Amazon on similar books to recommend, and it's not very good at finding new books. Also, Reddit Fantasy sometimes had recommendations, and I'll have a look and see if that one worked, which is how I found the latest one, which was A Conjuring of Raven, is how. They've mostly found short stories or anthologies. Yep, there's a couple of anthology stories on Amazon that I've reviewed. Yeah, that's the link to all my reviews if you want to have a look at them. A lot of them are low rating. And unfortunately, I can't recommend the first one I reviewed as much as I used to because the others decided to rewrite it and it lost a lot of what made it good for me. Yeah, there's another link that will sort by rank. Okay. Fate in the Mirror is the first one I've reviewed, and Conjuring of Ravens is the latest one I've reviewed, which got Fate in the Mirror got 5 when it was I reviewed it. Conjuring of Ravens was only a 3. Okay. I think the aftermath of the TF is the most important because that's where the meat of the story is. Because pre-transformation, ordinary character, pro, the process is you don't want to go too long. That being said, if the slow transformation, you can have a little bit of the process, they're dealing with it, then the process itself. So you're not hitting the process all at once. Only I'll repeat my answer to the other. Well, with that one, the process is not. The process is basically the the process is kind of aftermath in that situation where it's a slow transformation. It's going over days and weeks where they're slowly adjusting as it occurs. And, and if any of you find a good TF book that I haven't reviewed, feel free to recommend it to me, and then I'll read it and see if I like it and put it up on the site. Put it in the chat and I'll see if I've got it. Because let's see if I can bring up the Spell book. If that the question was where they're not actually stuck in a set form and can shift between both forms. That can work, but there's got to be a difference between the two forms. So if it's basically like they put on a wolf suit and they're a wolf, then that's not really transformation. And So that being said, that you can transform a human into a werewolf, and then they're dealing with with not only the change of becoming the werewolf, but handling the human and wolf form. I've not seen Turning Red, but from what I hear, yeah, that someone trying there's a interpretation from the trailers and what I've read. Yeah, you're trying to control both the form. So yeah, that's a transformation book. Okay. Uh, Altered State, I think, is a bit adult for my liking, so that's why it's not on the tape. Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. That for a story collection to get a 5 out of 5 on my site, pretty much all the stories have to be good quality, and a bad story by itself will probably drop it down to a 4. That's generally what I would do. I'd score the stories individually in the review itself, and then the overall score. Yeah, one or two must read would probably by themselves make it a 4. If they were really exceptional, it give, might go all the way up to a 5, despite all the other ones. Another point to make is when I'm scoring, it's how I feel at the time. So if there's a whole bunch of okay, let's go and have a look at the ranking. Okay, so them over my big list. Okay, are you even? Okay, let's just link again. Just copy link, link. Oh, and that wouldn't just copy link again. Okay. You, so starting from the top, are you even human? The thing that made this one win for me is this is one of the best mental TF I've seen. As in, when the person transformed into other shapes, you can see the mental effect. They're still them, but it's filtered through their new body. So that's why I'd recommend Are You Even Human? At the Magic and Mischief, this is just fun TF, because there's no real big plot, but it's really well done and fun. Hey, Big Bad Wolf. This one, you actually feel like they're a human in a new body. It's hard for me to explain more than that, but that's what I That's what I remember from that one. A Beginner's Guide to Cursed. Okay, this one quite again it's fun because by the end of the series, I've learned how to control what the curse, and it just so meant they show all the ways of breaking the curse. Okay, okay. Now let's get 340. So 384, 348. Now we're starting to scratch, scratch my memory of what happened there. I'll need to have a look at see if I can see the book. It's not actually letting me see the image. Okay. Okay. Forever Fantasy Online. This one is is well what happens when everyone is stuck in the video game they're playing. And some players have made their characters that are not very convenient to play with, shall we say, because they have exaggerated features. Okay. Painted Moonlight. This is one of the few werewolf books that I actually recommend. I can't remember why it just well done. Okay. Okay. Reborn. This is one where the author's actually rewritten it, and it might not be as highly rated if I would do it again. Okay. Okay, this is another werewolf book. That's about all I can remember, though. Okay. Wild Children. This one recommended for its world building. Basically, when a child grows up, there's a chance they will turn into an animal. And depending on the region, it depends on which one they've got. Okay. Hat Trick. This one is, if you ever want to read a book that would be described as barely controlled chaos, this is the book for you. Basically, the wizard has found himself in his hat and can only act when he's on the head of someone else. Spider Light. Okay, Spider Light. That's an interesting story where instead of starting with a human, you start with a spider, and then you basically anthropomorphize them, and not a good idea because the spider doesn't really like it. Okay, but it's just same author as Are You Even Human, and followed quite a few of the same themes, just quite long. Okay, number 2. Okay. Okay, the skin, very, very good Doki transformation. Okay. Got an Animorph one. Okay. Couple of werewolves. Yeah. Sorry for not going the full hour. And any other question? Okay. Yeah. I'd say that the majority of what I prefer is dealing with the aftermath, not the transformation itself, just the yeah, like you said, the TF occurred early in the story, and then the conflict is defined by what happened afterward. Yeah, thanks for everyone for coming, and thanks for all the suggestions, including the book and how to improve the recommendation.